thank you so much for joining us on the call today. If you take a minute to tie up the game at ECU, please. And we expect to see you close out the regular season Saturday against the Huskies.
Tough one for us. Didn't put a whole lot of things together. Got behind early and really had a tough time trying to scratch and claw out of it. But focus has really turned to being a senior week, and this is the last shot. This is the last shot for these guys. That, I've had 3 really tough years, on the field wise, and the ability for these guys to finish this thing and do it the right way is really what we're focused on, and it's going to be about the whole week. I know it's a Thanksgiving. I know it's a little bit different in the schedule and the things that we have, but this really is all about our seniors and how do we go about having their last game at home in Nippert Stadium to be a memorable one for them.
We'll take questions for Coach Luke Fickell. Please star 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll put you in the queue. Then the operator will introduce you.
We'll go next to Dan Tortora with wakeupcalldt.com.
Good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
Dan, how you doing?
Good. Like you said, doing right by the seniors for this final game. Just what you can say about the senior class, maybe some of the guys that you were really impressed by, and just the class as a whole. I know this is your first season there, but just what your impressions have been of the senior class.
They've had a rough go, and they've had a tough, few years, and it's really difficult to get through a lot of that different stuff, and from what they've seen and what they've had to go through, and from the time we walked in the door, they opened their hearts, and they did the things we asked them to do, and worked at it, and nothing's guaranteed to them, and I feel for them, and but it hasn't been from the lack of effort. It hasn't been from them not at least going all in the things we've asked them to do, but in the long run. These are the kinds of things that, as long as they can battle through this and not let it get them too down, and they learn how to handle themselves, I think they'll be a hell of a lot better in the long run because of it.
And then, as far as this being your first season in Cincinnati, what have you learned most about yourself through this situation? I mean, a lot of people point back to the successes you've had elsewhere, but now that you've been here for pretty much a full season after this last game, just what you could say about what you're taking away as a coach moving forward.
It's a big animal and a big process of getting everything in line to what you want to do, and it's exhausting. And that as a parent, that not that I do it a ton at home because that's my wife, she does it all, but it's the same thing in this. It's not just about the stuff that you do on the football field. There's so much time and things that are spent in relationships and things like that. The football field, is what is evaluated every single day, and those are the things sometimes that you enjoy and you want to go do. But in putting this process together and building and shaping a culture and things like that, there's so much more stuff that you got to do off the field that's going to translate to on the field. And I know that there's going to be a lot of work since we, not that we don't have the ability to go to a bowl game and have those practices. There's going to be an incredible amount of work. Making sure the alignment of a lot of things are all together through tough times.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Matt Shimlitsky with This Is Yukon Country.
Hey, Coach. As far as the matchup on the field on Saturday, I think it's the first time you're playing this Yukon program. What do you expect to see on the field in terms of the matchup on Saturday?
Well, no, I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think both teams are fighting and struggling to finish in the right way, and to put themselves at least in some positives into the off season. So I think there's a lot of similarities, and I don't know how many seniors and different things they have. I know they got a true freshman kid who's from Cincinnati that's going to be playing a bunch for them, and it's tough when you get to the end of the year and there's not a ton of things to see it in the future, if not a bowl game and things like that. And, so I think both programs, both teams being new, are really trying to focus on how can they use this and help this and to be a springboard into, taking the off season and hitting it with stride and having some positive momentum for it.
And then this being your first year here in the conference, what are your thoughts on the conference as a whole? Did you expect this level of competition when you started? And overall, the perception nationally, do you think this conference is getting as much respect as it deserves?
I don't think it gets as much as it deserves, and I think it's very good, and from top to bottom. I think the thing that not coming out on the winning end and really struggling a bunch for us. I don't think we're that far off, and I think that's the good news for us. But there's not. I mean, the top is very good. Obviously it's going to be either Central or South Florida, and then Memphis on the other side. But the other ones are not far behind. I mean, you can see the scores and a lot of games out there that they're very, very, very competitive, and I think that's the thing that you see. I think we have, struggled a bit more than the rest, and even not being some competitive enough games. But for the most part, even take the Big Ten or something, and there's a top level of one or two or three teams, and then there's, some that are struggling and fighting themselves to get to the middle. I mean, I think in this league right now, from year to year, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be favorites and things like that, but there's not as much of a discrepancy as maybe I've seen.
Thanks, Coach.
And do we have any other questions for Coach Fickell? Please star 1 on your telephone keypad if so. Well, Coach, thank you for your time today, not only today but also during the course of the season. Best of luck to you going forward, and happy Thanksgiving to you and the Bearcats.
Appreciate you guys too.